Hello and welcome to Feel Good Friday. It's your now monthly dose of positivity right here on our Facebook and YouTube channels. And this month, it is certainly starting to feel like spring, maybe summer. There is some hope upon us. And this month, we are having a special guest live on the show. It's Lisa Anderson, the executive director of Room in the Inn Memphis. She's going to talk about something that's really exciting happening in their world. But before I bring her on, I want to share a video that we created for their organization about this big project and what they're about to launch. So take a look.
We have individuals that are going somewhere where they need shelter. They need somewhere to be for the night. In Jesus' case, there wasn't any room. They made room for him, and they took him somewhere where he could have some shelter. But in this case, we want to give you room. We want to make room for you. We want to give you somewhere where you can be safe. We call it Room in the Inn because there's room here. There's room in our hearts. There's room in our family. And we're going to find a place to make room here just for you if that's what your desire and your need is.
This is the new campus for Room in the Inn Memphis. Is the Collins Chapel Hospital property. Room in the Inn has welcomed guests for a decade now and identified some gaps for the people that we were serving. And one of those big gaps was medically fragile homeless individuals who were being discharged from the hospital, and they wouldn't have a place to go. And we sheltered them in our congregations, but it wasn't ideal, and we knew that. So we began to dream about having a permanent recuperative care center. I had a career as a hospital chaplain. It is very difficult for me to imagine someone who is ill going back to a sidewalk, going back to an unsafe building, being cold, not having food. Nobody can get well in that environment, and so they go right back into the hospital. And many times their life is cut short because of that. And so we want to stop that.
It's going to fill that gap. Hopefully, while they're here, we're going to make some permanent changes and get them somewhere stable. But during that unstable time, we want to be that force that gives them just the time to get well and get better and not have to worry about where they're going to rest and eat for the night.
With Room in the Inn, you have an opportunity to go face-to-face with people that you might not have come face-to-face with in your ordinary life.
The plan is to move the Room in the Inn programming here onto this property and use a campus model so that all of our programming is in one place. And down this hall will be a recuperative care center for 21 individuals who are medically fragile. Upstairs will be a restricted family shelter program for families who are working with MIFA for rapid rehousing. We'll have 14 rooms upstairs for those families. And we'll move our day center here onto the property and coordinate congregational shelter seasons.
Your time is always needed. Some people may say, well, I don't have money to be a big donor or write a big check. We love volunteers. We love your hands. But also, in order to make this place run and work and keep the utilities on and pay our paid staff, we need resources.
By helping us to let our guests help themselves, what you're doing is you have the potential to change this community one person at a time, one family at a time.
We know that there's a need. You know, we just want people to do the same thing that the wise men did. They followed that star to see the Messiah. We just want them to follow their heart so that we can make a better place for people in this community, in Memphis at large.
What a wonderful, wonderful labor of love, I'm sure. Let's welcome to the show Lisa Anderson, Executive Director of Room in the Inn Memphis. Lisa, how are you doing?
I'm great, Lauren. Thanks for having me today.
So I followed you through this whole process with Room in the Inn. I think we first met when I was a reporter and I was interviewing you about starting Room in the Inn in the city of Memphis. That was years ago now. What? How many years in are we?
Well, that was probably about 9 years ago when we first met.
Wow.
The shelter program has been going for 11 years. 8 and 9 years ago began to expand across the city. So now we have 55 congregations. So we met when there were two.
Wow. So,
Yeah,
so you have
lots of
grown
change.
quite a bit. That's incredible. And what I love about what you do is taking advantage of both the story of there's no room in the inn, the Christmas story, and the fact that churches are empty when we're not using them for worship on Sunday or Wednesdays or those kinds of things. And so there are many churches still that can be added to this, but you've expanded this not just from churches now with this new building. Tell me about that vision and how that has come to life, because you are about to really make a step forward in serving a population that wasn't being served until you saw that need.
Right. We our core mission is to do emergency shelter, to provide a space for people who are in need of a place to be safe overnight. And in doing that, we began to get to know and take care of people who were just not well, who had just left the hospital, who had been there for all sorts of things, from surgeries to pneumonia to chronic issues. And as we began to see that our congregational model wasn't serving that to the best of what the need was, we began to dream about a recuperative care program that could serve that need, and found that there wasn't one. There isn't that kind of program for people experiencing homelessness anywhere in our region. Nashville is the closest one to us. And so it just became another part of our mission, that we would create a space, and we have found that place now.
And I think it's beautiful. There's a whole history behind that space and what it has been. At one point, it was a hospital. Is that correct? It was running and serving patients. Then it sat empty for years. And your team and a bunch of volunteers and folks have been working to make that space what it's going to be. So when does it open? When do you start using that building as the place for Room in the Inn?
We will have a ribbon cutting that will be mostly virtual, and we'll share that on our website and on our Facebook page on Monday, this coming Monday, the 19th. So we will officially cut the ribbon to open the building then, and then welcome our first guest on the 26th, a week later.
Wow. Wow.
So we are ready. We are so excited. Everyone's worked so hard. It's been this partnership between the CME Church and Collins Chapel Connectional Hospital. The construction has been beautifully completed by Chris Wood's Construction. And then we furnished it and made it a beautiful space, a peaceful and safe place for the people we're going to serve.
The thing that comes to mind when you talk about the work that you do is dignity and serving people with dignity, no matter where they're at in life. It seems as though this space in particular is going to do that very well, because you're going to be taking folks who have been released from the hospital but don't have anywhere to go. And it's not going to feel like a hospital. Is that right? From what I've seen, it feels a little bit like a home in a space that you can have these folks in.
Our goal was for people to have their own rooms. Half of the recuperative care rooms will be double occupancy, but it's still very homey, very comfortable, a lot of space. Each room has an individual bathroom with a shower that's all ADA compliant and easily accessible, no matter what a person's condition. So half of the rooms are private, half of them are semi-private. And just to have a comfortable place, it feels like a bedroom. It's very comfortable. The furniture is not institutional. It's like furniture you would buy for your house. And we hope that it just creates a healing environment.
That's certainly how I felt, just even being in the space, watching volunteers set up furniture. And there's more room upstairs, right? So you're going to be doing more than just serving the folks that are downstairs with recuperative care, correct?
That's right. The upstairs has the same number of rooms. We have 14 rooms upstairs that'll be a restricted access family shelter program. So we're calling that the Family Inn. And so we'll work with MIFA in their rapid rehousing program to help families have a safe place with their children while they're in that process of of being rehoused. So that's been very important to us also, because again, in our congregational model, we were seeing families with children that needed shelter, and we just continued to do the best that we could, but we knew it wasn't ideal for children to go from place to place every night. So they'll have their own room, they'll have their own bed, they'll have space, they'll have some volunteer support, huge, wonderful, beautiful playroom. We'll have people to help with homework and tutoring. And so just creating a place where it might take some of the anxiety and stress away from the parents who are working very hard to get back into housing.
And the last year, it's been more than a year. the last more than a year that we've been dealing with the pandemic has only spotlighted for us these problems, and only spotlighted how quickly someone can become homeless, how quickly that can spiral into all of these problems. Are you seeing now more than ever that there's a need to help? And if so, how can people help? Because I think sometimes it feels like a problem that's a distant problem until you see the faces and hear the names of people who are touched by your work.
I think that it has been, I was in a meeting earlier today, and one of the people in the meeting said, this has kind of ripped the Band-Aid off for all of us to see things that we have not seen before up close, for people in regular, ordinary life to pay attention to the gaps in services for people who are already on the margins, and like you said, how close they are to being unsheltered, to losing all of their resources. All of their jobs have been, if they haven't gone away, they've been cut drastically. So I think that for us, creating this space is one of the ways, but also our congregational shelter is going to be more important than ever in the fall. Displaced people who have lost housing to evictions and lost their jobs. So the more congregations that join this network, the more free emergency safe shelter there is. To take 12 to 15 people into your empty church for a night a week is a pretty easy way to address a significant problem that we have in Memphis.
And I've had the pleasure of volunteering with your organization and seeing how these churches make space that feels not shelter-like, and host and have a meal that is so good, such a good home cooked meal, and really just provide some fellowship to the folks who oftentimes just get passed on the street.
Yes, we call it holy hospitality, and for a reason. Once you enter those sacred sanctuaries spaces, the guests feel that, and our congregations go above and beyond. They call them special guests. They make a big deal about serving them at the table and not in a line. They know they're tired, so they make their spaces comfortable. It's just a beautiful thing to watch, and to see people connecting with folks they would never have a conversation with, and then developing friendships because of that. It's just a beautiful thing to watch.
That's the thing. I think you really have to see it. It's wonderful to see, folks who have not participated or volunteered in these ways. I highly recommend it. I know that you're going to need more volunteers with the space that you're about to create and the people that you're going to serve. Folks can visit your website, right, at roominthenmemphis.org. I'm going to add it here to the screen. You can join right there. You can donate. There's all of your volunteer opportunities there as well. And churches, like you said, that want to sign up to house folks. What is the Room in the Inn season? When are you in session for churches and asking churches to open their doors?
Normally we have 2 seasons. The winter season, that is November to March, and then a summer season that is restricted to women's shelter because of the lack of women's shelter in the city. And that season has been May to September. So 2 5-month seasons in the worst part of our weather time here in Memphis, when it's cold and when it's really hot.
Yeah.
So those are the seasons. And of course, we've had to be shut down for COVID, and we've had to use a lot of hotel rooms for this shelter.
Mhm.
But in November, I think that we'll be back to a safe place and congregations begin to host again.
Well, and I know that you are passionate about this work, and I think it's beautiful to watch sort of how it's all grown, perhaps within the vision that you've always had, but I'm guessing even bigger than that with the support and your board and folks who have gotten behind this. So I know this is really just the beginning for what Room in the Inn is going to be able to do for the city of Memphis and for our homeless neighbors that certainly need our holy hospitality, as you say, right?
Right. I think it is just the beginning. And I think this model is one that can be replicated too and serve many, many people.
Wonderful. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us this month. I'm very excited for your ribbon cutting next week. You said it's Monday, right?
Monday, that's right. We will be posting a link to that event on our website and on social media. So join us. Everybody, I wish that everybody could be there in person. But
I
if
know. We're getting close. We're getting close.
we are close, I know. But join us by watching the live stream, and then you are welcome, very soon to come and take tours of the building. It is just beautiful.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Lisa. Have a great weekend. Good luck on Monday. Can't wait to see what happens next. And
Thank
everyone
you.
for joining today, thank you for tuning in. We so appreciate it. Obviously, we love to share the good news and the good things that are happening in our community and the folks who are on the ground solving some of our very complex but important problems. We'll be back here next month for another edition of Feel Good Friday. In the meantime, be good to each other and remember to see the good in the world. Have a great weekend.